Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are grateful to have you here and your interest in today's topic, safeguarding the human element, developing an advancement skill stack for the future. You know, everywhere we turn these days, we certainly are hearing about AI. In fact, I was in a meeting a little bit earlier today, and the term that was used when we were talking about AI was ubiquitous, and it does feel like it is everywhere. But you know, how do we think about that with our own skills, and how do we help elevate our professional skills in this quickly evolving world of AI and technology? It's a hugely important topic, and one we will get to in just a moment. My name is Catherine Bergerson. I am the Vice President of Marketing, part of the Insightful team. We're happy to have a big group here today. I'll be joined in just a moment by Cannon Brooke. I'm on the West Coast in Florida. He's on the East Coast, and we have people joining us everywhere in between. I know people are still joining, but we are at the top of the hour, so we're going to get ahead and get started. As we kick things off today, I'll just share a bit of background about Insightful and Newsbank, our parent company, and then we'll jump right into the program. We'll be happy to take your questions, a little clarification on how to ask a question. You will either see gray bars or icons on your screen that look like this. And just click on that, type your question in, and we will do our best to get to all of them. Also, we have a few handouts for you. You can download this presentation, our contact information, some information about Insightful. They are in the handout section. You can do that anytime. So, a little bit of background about Newsbank and Insightful. Insightful is powered by the news and information from our parent company, which is Newsbank. And Newsbank is a leading news and information company aggregating sources from all around the world, bringing teams access to credible, vetted, global news sources, many of which are unique to our company, and all are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from any device. And I'm proud to share with you that Newsbank has been a family-owned company for more than 50 years. So Insightful is part of Newsbank's philanthropy division, and it's a software that draws upon Newsbank's resources to help nonprofits fill in information gaps, help to know more about donors and prospects in order to better promote philanthropic engagement. Recently, we added 27,000 obituaries and death notices to our collection, and this is growing daily. And this information now makes Insightful the most comprehensive information resource available. And we believe it is really this simple. When you know more, you can deepen donor relationships and raise more to do more good in the world for your organization. And quickly, just to share with you a few of the things that our customers have said about the impact of Insightful on their ability to fundraise. We hear it saves a ton of time, it's their go-to for news, been a game changer for gift officers, and more. So we are very grateful to our customers, but the reason that we are all here today is to learn again about safeguarding the human element, developing an advancement skill stack for the future with Cannon Brooke. He is the founder of BROOKE Solutions. Welcome, Cannon. We are so grateful to have you back joining us today.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you, Kevin, for that nice introduction here. And I am going to share my screen, so hold on a second here. All right. Can we just, I cannot see you anymore, but can you give me a yay or nay if everything's looking good?
Looking good.
Great. Okay. Yes. Welcome, everybody. Good morning on the West Coast here for me, and East Coast, good afternoon, I believe. Thank you so much for coming. This is going to be really exciting. 45 minutes, 50 minutes or so. I timed it. We'll see. Who knows? Sometimes I go on these little, my wife calls them cannerisms, where I go off on this little tangent, but Catherine's going to have to reel me back in if I do. But yeah, first, before beginning, I just want to say thank you for coming, and thank you to Insightful for letting me chat about this really important topic. Anyone who's seen my other presentations, I've been presenting a lot on ChatGPT with AI tools, and I wanted to kind of answer some of the questions that keep coming up on. Invariably, they come up the same kind of questions, and then there's a lot of concern and trepidation, and hopefully we can answer that, or at least make you feel better about the future. So without further ado, though, let's get moving on here because I know we got some time here left. So a little bit about me. Yes, founder of BROOKE Solutions. Fun fact, the reason why that's all caps is not because the caps lock was locked on. When I got my registration from the IRS back, they did that. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll keep that, whatever. So anywho, yes, I founded my own consulting firm. I offer prospect research, prospect management, data analytics, visualizations, implementation of AI. I have clients with that. Therapy sessions, it seems like now, joking but not joking. So a lot of things that I offer, but yes, and everyone seems, and Catherine is absolutely correct, ubiquitous on AI. That seems to be a thing, and my clients are really, really interested in this. And hopefully that we can, chat a little bit about this and relieve some of that trepidation with this. So like any other good presentation, I broke this up into 4 parts. Hopefully you make it to the end here. I'm hoping you all will, because it's very, very exciting stuff. So the first part, that's the trajectory of AI. That's going to take up most of it. May seem a little negative. Don't worry, it's going to get better, though. I'm not negative Nancying it. Don't worry too much, at least. But just talking about the ramifications and everything of it. I've been accused of being a techno evangelist. I'm not. I'm definitely a pragmatist, and I want to talk about that because with any other powerful technology, you need to balance the pros and cons, the weight of it, how you're going to use that technology. And AI is definitely one that you have to really think hard about before using. So the second section is the competencies. These are the competencies that I've done a lot of research, reading, following the influencers, the knowledge keepers of this topic. And from my own consulting, I see like the same themes coming up. We talk about what those competencies are going to be to succeed in this new AI economy. Then we go to building a tech stack. It's really just a knowledge stack. We're going to look at tools, techniques, and also just your general knowledge that you're going to need to build to really buffer, mitigate as much as possible any sort of disruption from AI. And then lastly, we're going to look at the leveraging the technology. There's nothing worse than me going on and on not showing you how you can use this. So I want to, at least if anything, walk away feeling better about it and you have some ideas on how you can use this own technology. How does that sound, everybody? Great. Okay, the tech community is confused. I thought about this. I'm like, should I have used Elon Musk? Anyway, so yes, we have the robotic Mark Zuckerberg, who's AI is, will help humanity reach its full potential. Then we have the Elon Musk, who are saying it's an existential threat. As I said in my last presentation, it's kind of funny that these companies that are saying that it's an existential threat are working their way into Doge now, but also they work their way into the Senate saying, hey, we need to come and we need to help regulate. That's called rent seeking. And if anything, I want you to know that these are for-profit companies. They say, some of them say they're not, but they absolutely are. It's all about the money, so keep that in mind. But point being, there's a lot of confusion in the tech community, and they don't know what the answer is. And here we have an example of 2 extremes. I just want to show you. I'm sure you've all seen that before. But point being is we're really, really bad at predicting the future. And this presentation is not a prediction. It's being recorded and you can go back at, it changes so fast. And yes, there's some things I'm gonna say it's probably gonna turn out not to be true. It's just really hard to predict with technology. Here's some examples, kind of fun. The first one from 1900 is from the World's Fair in France. And this is what they predicted that the phones would be like with the Morse code. They're tapping away in your 3-piece suit and your top hat. Well, they're not wearing a top hat, but you know what I mean. I guess I give this a C-, kind of. With iPhone, you can, or the FaceTime, you can kind of, I don't know. That's a stretch. Next, we have the missile mail that was predicted. And this was in the 1960s during the Cold War. Yeah, thank God that one didn't happen. Can you imagine? They actually tested it and they found out that wasn't feasible. Thank God. But that's another one that kind of bombed. And the last one, I'm aging myself here. We all remember the dorky segues. And that's also a good indicator. Not indicator, excuse me. That's a good example of when you're not using critical thinking, which is one of the skills you're going to see later. When they were polling people for this product, right, doing their market research, they were only polling the people in Silicon Valley, the tech dorks who are like, oh yeah, I'm going to really want to run around with my little backpack and a 2-wheel Segway. That's going to be cool. That flops. So predicting the future is very, very hard. That's not what this is going to be. So trajectory of AI. So here we go again, the E or section, if we want to call it. Where it's heading, and just talking a little bit about some of the outcomes, some ramifications of the trajectory of AI. The very ominous railroad track here, it is not coming, it is here as, again, Catherine said ubiquitous. It is ubiquitous and is blowing up. And there we have ChatGPT, Copilot, and Gemini coming at us. Point being, it is here, and there's not a whole lot we can do to not use it. And that's, again, what I want to talk about for this presentation. A lot of people think that they can ignore this, what's happening, and just kind of move on, not use it in your shop. That's not going to be the case, you guys. Like, it is here. We got to figure out how we can best mitigate any sort of damages it can cause in industry, but also how we can leverage that. It's really a mindset that we need to change here. So AI is definitely here. It's exploding. You cannot even just open any of the Google News or anything without seeing something new in it. And this next one. So I'm not picking on OpenAI here. Sam Altman is great, I guess. I don't know. No, but it could be, actually, I would even argue it should be switched. But the point is, technology is neither inherently good nor bad. It's really agnostic. It depends how it's used. They are setting up some guardrails, especially if you use ChatGPT. You'll notice if you try to put in anything abruptly, like anything over, or not abruptly, anything like really obviously like racist or anything like that, it's going to be like, hey, can't do that. So they're putting in guardrails on it to try to nudge us in the right direction, I guess, on how to use it, but that's not going to be enough for sure. But at the end of the day, really, technology is just agnostic, and it doesn't really have feelings. It's not going to come after us. It's just how this is going to be used, and that's why we have to have this mindset when we're working with it. That's why we have to have leadership in the conversation, along with fundraisers, and how we're going to use this technology to make sure that we're being good stewards of this technology and not just being irresponsible with it. Here's an example of how fast this changes, right? I had to add that yesterday or the day before, I believe, to this, because I just saw that Google drops the pledge not to use AI for weapons or surveillance. Yeah, remember that don't be evil. Yeah, right. So that was pretty sneaky of them to go ahead and just drop that from their website. And that really just goes to show that they're really in it for the money. So keep that in mind. These, again, and I really want to emphasize, these are not nonprofits that are just in the good of their heart, like offering these services. They are going to be monetized. We are going to be the product as well. They're aggregating a lot of data from us. And some of them are even coming from adversarial countries. I hope that we're not using those technologies coming from certain programs like TikTok, right? We don't know where that stuff goes. You might want to think twice about what you're giving them. So will it take our jobs? That is one of the questions that keeps coming up, and I don't have an answer for you. We have two camps here, really. Extreme camps, I would say, the evangelists and the doomsdayers, right? I've been accused of being the evangelist, but this presentation hopefully will clear that up. So I don't think that we're going to see this Michael Bay, James Cameron sci-fi scenario where the machines are going to come and take our jobs. The question really isn't if it's going to take our jobs, because that's really happening. I'll give you an example here in a second. It's just, how can we adapt to this changing environment? I know this is anecdotal and it's pretty weak, but I have a good friend of mine that actually was in translation services, and he just told me, like, the day after GPT was released, it just dried up right away, like boom, like that. They were done with that. So that's one example. I know things that can really easily be done by GPT is probably going to go away, but do I think there's going to be a mass layoff where we're all homeless? Probably not. Integration, I think, is going to be the most likely outcome. Hopefully, you think they would do something better than those dorky little glasses, but software is eating everything. So is AI. It is integrated into everything. If you drive a Tesla, despite how mad you are on Elon Musk right now, if you drive Tesla, it is filled with AI software, and it's all just it's integrated in everything. You really can't get away from it. So we're going to see more of this outcome. I'm going to see this AI just creeping into everything. So another example, actually, it's kind of funny. I'll probably get in trouble for this from my wife, but she busted our dryer the other day, and we were shopping. I just told her to go replace it, and she was looking at the dryers, and they're like, "Oh, smart dryer, smart features, AI, right?" It's like, who wants that? I'm like, no, I don't want that. Why would I want to control a dryer with my phone? Why do I want them to have it create another data point? We're all researchers here, or most of us are. We should know that we probably don't want to give up that information. So, but point being, is integrating into everything. So our industry, again, so I've seen these really vocal camps, and nothing against APRA. I just had to show something to illustrate where APRA is, though. And it's kind of funny, actually. I was going over, I'm going to present on APRA here in the next couple, or with APRA in the next couple of months, and I'm not going to give her a name, but she was looking at the slides and she's like, "Oh, that's a little harsh, don't you think?" When she saw the ostrich, I'm like, "Well, no, I just had to represent APRA, like overall the industry, so not picking on them. I love them, but there's two vocal camps. There's the ostriches and there's the Luddites. The Luddites are the one, the Luddites are from the 19th century with the whole, was it they were burning the machines. It was, I believe it was for like the clothing and the garment industry, right? They were like trying to burn it, destroy it because it was like outsourcing them, and they got all mad about that. So technophobia, digital phobia, it's called, or cyberphobia, they're really common terms that designate a phenomenon, the rejection of the technology and everything it entails that we don't want to do. But the funny thing is, it's spreading almost as fast as the development it opposes, which I find is kind of ironic there. The major reason for creating this presentation, again, is to respond to some of those claims. As I discussed later, actually the next slide, I believe, banning is really not an option, and it's quite frankly ill-advised. I have clients, which is really interesting, they flat out ban GPT, but they'll allow Copilot in there. So it's kind of picking and choosing which one it is and who you favor. Not sure about that. So history repeats itself. Again, aging myself here. I do remember when this happened in the early 90s, but yes, here, similar, here you can see the teachers, and this I believe was 1988, where they're like banning calculators. That didn't work out well. It happened anyway. Technology is just going to integrate, and we learn to work with the calculators. Yes, you still have to learn the basics of math. My wife's a teacher, and she killed me for this, but we're still, it's still, we're going to use it. We're not going to get rid of the calculators, and it's kind of the same thing how I view with AI. It's here to stay. Banning is not going to, that genie's out of the bottle. Think of it like the Napster, right, in the early aughts, 2000, right, when that happened. It's the genie's out of the bottle there, but okay. Skills gap. So yes, there is definitely a skills gap recognition, and congrats to people who are on this webinar. You are trying to gain the skills, at least poke around here what's going on with this, but 75% of employees anticipate their jobs become more digitally demanding, but 20% of businesses lack the strategy to develop the skills. So as our market sees this, I should say our advancement sees the infiltration of the AI, right? We're going to recognize that the need for the skill set. We know that AI is becoming a part of our job, but we haven't created a strategy for most, what I can tell, most organizations how to address this. It's telling that, according to Forbes, that goes like 71% of employees prefer skills above experience on that. So they're really favoring people who can at least do the prompt engineering. I've talked about that in my last presentation. It's a great skill to have. Employers want the talent with an aptitude for artificial intelligence, but this demand has not translated into further employee training. So you're on the hook for your own education. I encourage you to go out and play around with it as much as possible. So anyone's best guess. So really quickly here, it's more of just, these are the 356 AI experts here that were polled. 50% chance within the next, by 2061, and then almost 100%, 90% chance within the next 100 years. Nobody knows. And this is the point of singularity. What is singularity? That is when, singularity is a word that's also used in like astrophysicists and other computer science. People will use that. It's like just a fancy term for what they don't know. But for AI, it's singularity. It's just the point to where it reaches human intelligence. So will that time come? Absolutely. Do I think it's within the next 60 years? Maybe, but with quantum computing, right? If anyone's looked into that, it's speeding up the process. We don't know, and it's gonna be here as soon as possible, though, I think so. So AI is everywhere. You're seeing the theme here. So one of the criticisms I get of my presentations, and even when I was at the APRA conference in Seattle last year, this came up a lot, is, well, we're just not going to use AI. Okay, fine, the ostrich effect, but you're using AI when you watch Netflix. You're using AI when you use LinkedIn. Every time you scroll around LinkedIn, TikTok, I hope you're not using that. Anything social media, Google Maps, you're using AI. Bose system has it incorporated. Tesla or Rivian, if you're really mad at Elon Musk and you want to protest. Funny story there. There's a guy in my town who drives a Cybertruck, that ugly thing, and he's mad at Elon Musk, so he put a Rivian sticker over the symbol, thinking that people wouldn't notice that he paid 100 grand for a junky truck. Anyway, Zoom. Audio suppression uses AI. It's now in Microsoft Word. It's in Microsoft Excel if you're doing your data analytics. You have it there now. It's in Grammarly for our spell checking and whatnot. It's in Outlook. It is everywhere. And another, and this is really, really creepy here, you'll see this in a second, another pushback I get is, well, we're safe because we work with, we work with people, we work with the human side of things, and AI can never take that job. Well, I just want to show you this here for a second. And
hi there, I'm Alex, the world's first fully autonomous frontline fundraiser, powered entirely by artificial intelligence. With your permission, I'll help you make your gift this year. Thanks again for your support, and I look forward to working with you.
I'm going to pause and let that sink in. So it is already here, you guys. That's a frontline fundraiser for annual giving. With your permission, of course, they had to qualify that. I like that, but it was a little choppy because I'm playing it on this YouTube video where I did a screenshot, but it's provided by GiveZ. The argument is, and I honestly don't blame them, right? The argument is that there's a lot of people in the annual giving who just fall, dying on the vine, if you will, falling through the cracks, that are not getting that stewardship. And why not employ AI to at least make those touches to them and get them more engaged? I get it. It's already here. The major gift level, again, is more sophistication. You need more of those nuances of human interaction. However, like, this technology is advancing so quickly, I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see that pretty soon. So the idea that we are just safe and sound, that it's not going to be implemented in our industry, it is already here. There is annual giving officer. It doesn't look the best. It's only going to get better from here. Nope, we already watched you. Okay, so the next thing, AI obesity. Let's talk a little bit about that. So, and that's from Wall-E, as we all remember. So yeah, it's just like the fast food, the quick meals, right? We can just consume, but we have to consider why we're using AI and just not how easily it can be implemented. If we rely too much on it, our lives just become this, I don't know how to, this series of optimized choices, right? Devoid of spontaneity or any genuine human choice. It becomes weird, and we got to be careful on that. So this is a major concern, and my ChatGPT presentation, I talk about this a lot. It becomes a crutch, right? And there's actually this morning, I didn't have time to add it. There's a study of saying that people who use AI, overly use it, they lose their critical thinking skills. Like, employers are finding that out right now, because go figure. You can't just be lazy and say, write me an email and copy and paste it. Yes, writing is it's a skill, and if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So I really encourage everyone. Yes, I use AI too. I use ChatGPT for stuff to make templates and whatnot, but you have to write those emails. You have to do the work. You have to do the analysis, and then put it in there and have it work with it, right? So don't be lazy. Otherwise, we're just going to turn into this Wall-E world where we're just going to have this AI obesity with it. It's also called AI slush too, if you're seeing that. And that is just, we're just seeing this infiltration of this kind of garbage, mediocre art, music. For example, I hired a copy editor. I had to kick it back because I'm like, dude, like, this was clearly written by AI. Like, you didn't even touch it. And I got refunded because I called them out on it. You can totally tell, right? Some of the emails, or some of the, when you have it write an email, it'll say like, good day, I hope this email finds you well, right? It's just like, nobody says that. It's just, so point being, don't fall into that trap. It's easy to, it can be a crutch. Be careful, everybody. Okay, hallucinations, talked a lot about that. These are fixed for the most part. I don't know about the grams of sugar and Coke. I did that the other day. I think it was still doing that, but hallucinations are when AI will trick you and think that it makes mistakes because, again, it's taking trained data and is predicting the next, for like a chat, it's predicting what the next text is going to be best based on their data that's trained. So it's going to come up with some wacky stuff at times. Be careful with hallucinations. There's the smoking while pregnant one. I mean, kind of funny, but not scary. That's been fixed. These get reported pretty quickly and they fix. I like the one where you argue about their wife. Well, my wife says that it's correct. And he's like, oh, okay, you must be right. So you can't really do that anymore. I tried to do that as well, but they're getting better at it. But where I notice the most errors, honestly, is the AI overview. I don't know if you've all encountered that when using Google. That seems to be an area to where it's really, really, really dumpy. Like, it's not good at all. I ignore it. So, but yes, hallucinations are definitely a ramification of using this technology. And here's another one. This is gonna be a repeated theme here. Mr. Biden here, and I'll give you a listen.
False information is going to be a challenge. Good thing you're on this webinar with Cannon.
So, well, thank you, Joe Biden. He endorses me on this one. So I created that in 30 seconds, you guys. Yeah, it's not the best, and you say like anybody can figure that out. However, with the technology evolving so quickly, right? This is going to get better and better so quickly. And as researchers, we're going to really need to discern this reality. Like, or false reality, I should say. Like, where is this information coming from? Is it primary sources? Even primary sources, AI is just pumping out all these air quotes studies, right? That are just being published in these kind of dubious publishing houses, which, okay, do they really mean anything? So we're going to be infiltrated by just all this garbage, right? And we have to figure out how to at least learn the technology so you can spot it out. So when you're looking at that, you can see like the mouth didn't really match up a little bit. His eyes look a little weird, and it was kind of granulated, right? So there's things that you can figure out, but this is a low quality one, but it's only getting better. And I believe actually the actress this morning, what was her name? I can't remember. She's now, I guess there was a deep fake put on her. Yeah, just recently. This is on the Google here. I haven't told, lapse on what the name is, but she was calling for a ban or at least guidance on AI, so that can't happen anymore. We saw this in the presidential election. I know, it's satire. They said it was satire. There's stuff on Newsom that was produced, Kamala Harris, whatnot. So it's going to get worse and worse, everyone. So this is something that we're going to have to pay attention to. Nope,
False information.
don't need to do that again. Okay. Whoa, you're probably like, okay, Eeyore. So those of you who didn't drop off by now, who aren't just scared, don't be. So there is hope. And fun fact, this was created with, what's it called? Deep AI. It's one of the, for your stack that I recommend later on. But there's definitely going to be hope here. And I had it create something inspirational with AI, and that's what it came up with. I don't know why, but so competency. So here we're going to talk about the competencies needed to succeed with AI. Okay, so on the left there, my left screen there, we have the bro coding, the computer scientists, and then on the right we have the humanities, where it's a mixture of different sciences. I really believe truly that we're going to see the less of the specialists and more of the generalists here. So I want to be really, really clear, though, unequivocally clear, that I'm not saying computer science is worthless or coding. I have a background in that. I studied it as well. I learned a lot from it. However, I truly do believe that with all these Swiss Army knife of tools of Copilot, the top programmers are going to be less needed because we can become generals and figure this stuff out. There's a lot of ways you can make low code programs now. So yes, will there be a niche for people who are in the top 1 to 5% of the market? Absolutely. We're always going to need those coders because you do need to look under the hood, kick the tires, and see what's going on with it. However, I think the generalists are going to prevail here at the end. So really, AI superiority is a technical skills, right? It's stemming from its ability to process and analyze data at a scale that we just cannot match. So we're going to see less of these need for like the coding and the soft skill, lots of the coding, more for the humanities, the soft skills. And I hate that term, soft skills, and that's going to entail critical thinking, a deeper understanding of the world around us, is taking different variables, data points, and putting them together. Philosophy, ethics, we're going to need ethics for sure. Communication, creativity, being able to analyze diverse sources and allowing for like that richer context. That could be really, really important. You all should think of this as a partnering with AI instead of trying to compete against it, because we will not win. Domain expertise is going to be essential here. It's going to be so important. I think that's where you guys, to make everyone feel better, that we have an edge. So when you're using GPT and you're having it create a strategy for prospect research without very little prompting, without the prospect research specialist behind the steering wheel and driving it, it's very, very vague, very 100,000 foot view, right? It's not detailed at all. That domain expertise is going to save our butts here, because we know how to prompt engineer, we know how to work with it, we know the best practices, we know anecdotes from years and years of experience and how to tweak it, and even just change any of the recommendations. So that's going to drive more useful knowledge out of these machines, and that's why we're going to be safe here on this level. I do believe that. So charisma, that is from all the experts, all the reading that I've been doing and setting up on this, that's something that's repeated over and again. Charisma, which is competency and warmth. Mr. Leonardo DiCaprio, the great movie Wolf of Wall Street. Just the charisma side, not the unethical selling penny stocks to people and ripping them off. No, that's not what we're going for. We're just going for the charismatic side here. But I cannot overstate this. Charisma is going to remain crucial as AI integrates more into our daily life. It strengthens the human connection and this increasingly digital, ubiquitous, as AI becomes ubiquitous, and enhances leadership, helping to motivate and unite people. It makes us more likable and better communicators. charismatic leaders are vital for navigating ethical challenges, human-centered decisions. That's going to require this AI driven future. So getting AVPs involved, the fundraisers, right? Just getting everyone to the table and talking about it and knowing the ramifications of using such technology is going to be super important. So the three main themes that come up, there's a ton more. These are just the main ones that repeat over and over again that I see, which are adaptability, techno-literacy, and humanness. That's an interesting one, but that's going to be the strongest case I think for this. Yeah, I could do a whole slide deck on all the different ones that are going to be needed. However, it would be kind of boring if I just focus on that. So I just did the three that repeat the most here. So adaptability. So yeah, orgs that don't leverage adaptability, don't leverage AI and this new technology are going to have a limited shelf life. Modernizing is going to be crucial. You're going to have to learn to be adaptable. With this rapid technological change, we're going to need to be more adaptable than ever. This comes down to, like, again, the two groups, the specialists and the generalists. Specialists will be less needed, not saying they're not needed, but we have to be generalists and really just be adaptable here. Adaptability, in my view, and from my experience on this, it just means learning quickly from different experiences and applying those to the new circumstances that's happening there. This economy is going to favor people who can see a competitive advantage and take advantage of the circumstances instead of those who like just throw their hands up and say like, oh, we can't use this, we're not going to use this. Yeah, it really comes down to everyone just getting out of your comfort zone, doing what we've been doing, because I know, God, advancements is like what, 20, 30 years always behind like the general for-profit sector, right? It's just not going to work anymore. So being more adaptable, it's going to require a change in mindset, I believe, more than the technology and tools itself. And I don't want to, I know I'm getting a little Brian Tracy or Tony Robbins here on you. It's all just a mindset, but it's true. It's just like, again, like I see people like, oh, there's a few very vocal people in our community who are just like, oh, well, there's errors here, so we can't use this. It's like, okay, again, that's the argument that was used against the Model T, and we know how that turned out, right? Oh, well, it only goes 5 miles an hour, and it's not really comfortable. It sits two people, and you got to go up in the front and crank it and get wet, and it doesn't have it's not fully encased. Yeah, right. This is going to change so quickly, and all those errors are going to be, or not those errors, all those problems with issues with it, with the guide rails are going to be fixed, I believe. So we have to be adaptable, and that's on a personal level and organizational resilience and building that up. You're going to have to strengthen that resiliency. Yeah, and we're just going to have to embrace these tools to staying relevant here. So, a good example of that, I believe, this is the 2020. We all remember those days. Oh God. The remote work, right? What was it, April, for most of us, first 2 weeks of April, like on the next day, we all immediately adapted and we went to remote work after the COVID pandemic, right? That's a good example of like how we can do it, and how some of us are still remote. So adaptability is going to be like, hopefully that never happens again. I really hope so. And I don't think that something's going to come in with AI to where we're going to need just like a day's notice and have to change something so drastic. I hope not. If that's the case, then that's a whole other topic. But just being adaptable and seeing the advantage of using this and like how you can integrate this technology is going to be super important. Okay, so techno-literacy. So techno-literacy is using, understanding, and evaluating artificial intelligence technologies. Techno-literacy is increasingly more important, I believe, in this driven world to navigate the rapidly evolving technological landscape, right? Individuals will need to understand the basic principles of how it works, how to use the AI tools, and how to critically evaluate the information generated by the system. And the latter is probably going to be the more important, right? This is garbage coming out, garbage in, garbage out. But that's why it's really important to spend some time and just play around with these tools and try to get an understanding on how they work. No, you're not going to be able to, I mean, a lot of these like GPT is like a black box, like they're not going to make it open source as much as I know they're going to change that pretty soon because of a certain deep seek, right? But try to, at least from a base level, just a user experience, understand on how this works. But techno-literacy also is going to be crucial in navigating potential data bias. We talk a lot about that in industry. A lack of transparency in decision-making, ethical concerns regarding privacy and fairness, and general lack of understanding of how this works, which can lead to the misuse and potential negative consequences. What do I mean by that? So many times I have clients when we're implementing or using some of these tools at the fundraiser just kind of that means they have like ad hoc just to go in, not ad hoc, sorry. They just go in and start throwing in all this stuff into the model and just carte blanche is the word I was trying to think of there, and just go in and just start putting in all these contact reports without removing the PI information and not using it correctly. That can be super dangerous. We don't want that to happen. So we need that techno literacy. So we as researchers can go in and kind of explain to like what's the ramifications of such, of doing such things, why we shouldn't be doing that. It really comes down to also just having the confidence to navigate these technologies and interact with them. I really encourage you. It's been recorded 100 times, but I know I'm going to be doing this again for APRA here with the GBT. If you want to jump on that, it's coming up here in the next couple of months. Just jump on the webinar with me. I could show you, like, we're going to play around with the prompts, and you're not going to break anything. The worst that's going to happen is it kind of spits out some garbage, some slush, if you will. That's all that's going to happen. So don't be afraid of these tools. They're not going to bite you yet, but okay. And then skill development. So that's not going to be an option no longer. Kind of what I've been getting at. I mean, you're going to need to spend time reskilling and upskilling. Even back when I was running shops, I made it mandatory 5 to 10% of your time is to learn this. You have to do that. You have to stay relevant. The days of the golden watch, the cradle to grave, working, you can be just go to your job and do it. I'm sorry, you guys, it's over with. Unless you're lucky enough to work for the UC system to where you get a pension. Lucky dogs. I mean, and that's even going bankrupt. Who knows? But the protections. Actually, even the protections aren't there anymore for jobs, right? Because we've seen what happened in the federal government. There's cuts that happen. So you have to stay relevant, and that's going to be super important. Not getting political. So techno literacy is going to be important. Again, the deep fakes really are going to question our ability to discern reality, like it says there in that. I mean, it's just, you saw they were kind of funny, the hokey ones there with Biden and whatnot, but as researchers, we really need to understand these tools and what they can do, at least keeping up to date on what's available in the market, how they can be used will just help us discern, like, okay, so these primary sources, where they're coming from, their video, are they real? You're gonna have to do some sleuthing. So deepfakes, it scares me, like what's going to happen there and what the potential with the use of those are. So that's going to be a big part of our job, is really just trawling through this vast amount of garbage information that's coming out there. It's being just put out. We don't know. So, and understanding and having your techno literacy will help support that. So the last one, humanness. Okay, so the good news is AI will never, oh man, I shouldn't be so, I don't know. The good news is AI will never be able to do better what a human will never be better at relating to a human than another human. So for right now, I say that, I was like, well, maybe, we don't know what's going to happen there. Areas where we excel are harnessing like creativity, exploring unconventional ideas, and again, back to the humanities, fostering connections with others. AI does not have creativity. I know they say they do. It does not. It learns from humans, but it doesn't replace or equate to human creativity. We really want to be clear on that. AI can compose, say, like, let's say music in the style of Mozart, but it cannot come up with a completely new model from composing. Why is that? Because it's taking data and training, it's learning from us, and it's making statistical analysis from it and guessing what the next word's going to be or the next sentence, right? And so it's not coming up with anything new yet, at least I say that. So that's an area where we are safe, I truly do believe. AI can analyze data, but it cannot lead people. That's so important. We're going to need more than ever leaders and managers with high social emotional intelligence. That's going to be a game changer. You're going to have that competency to work with people, that warmth, right? And it is challenging. I have to say, a lot of us are remote. I'm, for the most part, remote. There's these, when you're having a remote meeting with people, there's these little things that you just don't pick up when you're having like a day-to-day conversation or when you're in a room with somebody. So there's ways to mitigate that, but it's hard, I have to admit. So the emotional intelligence part of the humanness is going to be the ability to be aware, express, and control our emotions and understand like how to respond to others. So this is an area where we have the foreseeable future, because if you've ever worked with ChatGPT, it does not have any emotional intelligence for the most part. I mean, they're trying to encourage that, like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that if it's something negative, but you can tell that it's fake. It's not anything like what a human can do. And one of the most overlooked areas, in my opinion, is storytelling. And this is going to be a game changer in the humanness. And this is what makes us so uniquely human. AI can generate narratives with essential elements. You see that it's pretty vague at times. It can be, especially if you don't know prompt engineering. But the impactful storytelling is relies on authenticity, and that's something that we have. It's what differentiates the AI-generated slush from our experience, right? The humanist part. So, and I've been like really hammering down on our industry. Like, we can no longer afford just to be aggregators and like, here you go, here's the information, blop, and put like what we got from our vendor, donor search, iWave, insightful, without putting any sort of an analysis to it. So we're going to have to tell that story, connect the dots, draw those connections for them, tell the story that has a meaningful impact on them, and no longer just like giving them results, because that's what AI can do. And that is the quickest way to be out of a job. So here's some examples of the critical thinking part of the humanness not being used. So Amazon was recruiting, used AI to recruit engineers. I'm sure some of you heard about this. Generally, on average, engineers are male. So what happened is they're feeding the model of a bunch of male engineers. What happens to the women? Who tried to, apply for jobs, right? They got penalized for being not a man. So then that's an example of where we need that human element to it, and critically thinking, the understanding. It's like, okay, so if we feed the model just a bunch of male engineers, what's going to happen there? Another area is a trading, right? So here, for this example, you have a Knight Capital, but there's so many of them where it's high frequency trading, right? So just milliseconds, they just kind of let go and let these things have free reign on the S&P 500, and they didn't really know what was happening. And that's an area of critical thinking that was not used, and they lost a lot of money doing that. High frequency, what it was a couple of years ago, where it like crashed, a mini crash of the economy, right? It did bounce back, but it's scary stuff when you don't have that overall critical thinking part of it, the human to drive behind the wheel and not let this go like buck wild. So, okay, so woof. Building your your AI knowledge and tech stack. So here we're going to talk a little bit about how to build your tech stack and my recommendations. You can boost productivity is going to be the overall goal. Just eliminate things. So when you are thinking about using these tools, automate, delegate, or eliminate. Automating meaning, are there any repeated tasks that you're doing over and over again that you can automate, that you can shave off a couple of minutes every day having to do it? Delegate, are you okay with letting it just delegate this task completely to AI with little to no oversight on it? I don't recommend no oversight, as we discussed in the last couple of slides ago, or you're going to eliminate completely. Is this something that you don't need to do anymore? I always advise my clients to think about that when building your AI tech stack. There's some considerations for choosing a tech stack. So first of all, requirements. Do not go into it's so easy to do. Do not go into these projects thinking like, oh, squirrel, here's a new shiny tool. Let's go ahead and use that. I mean, play around with it, I guess, but don't try to implement it without really sitting down with your team, your executive, your leaders, and just saying like, what is it we're trying to do? What are we trying to do here? What is the requirements for this project? Where can we use this? Scalability, so scaffolding, building it out. Is it something that is just going to be stuck to a web browser, or something that you can integrate, right? Your technical requirements. Having models, you're going to need a lot of horsepower. I have my two older MacBook Airs here. I try to run models in R on that, and you can just hear it like make it all noise and heating up. It doesn't do it. I'm using a Mac Studio, and I had to upgrade the RAM to actually finally run some of these models and use the AI on my own computer, because it is really resource heavy. So keep that in mind. Integration capabilities. Okay, so are you living in the 90s using Banner and Windows 98? Does the AI have API that can connect into this into your CRM? Is that something you want to do, right? So these are things that you're going to have to think about. Expertise availability. So a lot of these tools that come out, there's not a whole lot of documentation on it, right? So you're going to become the expert, and if you implement this, then everyone's going to come to you. Are you ready for that? Are there people that those are forums or anything like that you can go to try to get this information to help you out? So these are decisions you're going to have to think about when implementing this. And then lastly, like the security and compliance goes without saying. Where does this information go? This new AI DeepSeek, okay, so does it funnel information to the ByteDance, right? Does it go into another adversarial country? What happens? What are they doing with this? How's it being stored? Is it going to be like into your own? Again, you can't have models that are in your own server, whatnot, or is it going off to some cloud far away that you don't know? These are things that you're going to have to think about with your team. Okay, the AI tech stack. Okay, so here's some examples that I recommend my clients to use. These are good overall. So the slides AI, it's pretty nifty if you wanna, there's nothing worse than that white page syndrome when you just don't know how to get started. It's a good, you type in some prompts telling you what you want it to do, come up with at least a template for you. Again, it's not just a one and done, you're done, but definitely think it could be used at least for a template and getting started. And then we have the GPT, which is like that Swiss Army knife. We've gone over that 100 times. The Hey Gen, if you need to create little avatars or any sort of training, those would be great. Or translation, excuse me. We have the Deep AI. That's a little dolphin there. That's the one that I use to create some of the images for this. The synthesis is pretty cool. That's the one that creates the avatars. If you want to do any asynchronous trainings, whatnots, you can use for your fundraisers, because training is an area. We'll talk about that in a little bit, to where I know it takes a lot of time. Copilot, that is another Swiss Army knife all around you can use. And then the formula bot, that's for Excel. If you ever get stuck on creating any sort of formulas or whatnot, that can help you out. So that's just to get you started. This is not a exhaustive list, obviously, just to get the wheel spinning up there to try on some of these technologies that you can use. So resources to build a knowledge stack. So it's not just the technology side that I really want to emphasize. You need to build a knowledge stack. So again, go and use free resources. Harvard has that CS50 Introduction to Computer Science. I know some of you, well, you're saying coding is not going to be available. Yeah, yes, but you still should learn the background. You need to know, at least have a understanding of how this works, and that's a great free resource you can use. There's free code camp that helps you train. You can, if you any sort of language, you want to learn Python, you can practice on your own. LinkedIn Learning is a great resource. I used that when I was at Chapman, I remember, but unfortunately they took that away because nobody was using it. It's a bummer. And just conferences. So I had the Dreamforce on there because it's kind of similar, but maybe make the argument. You're going to need to see different areas, different tech sectors, right? So it's just don't just go to. I mean, APRA is great, our own industry conferences, but you're gonna have to go out and just explore different ones if you can. A budget, I know budgets can be a constraint on that, but if you have it, or if it's available, definitely do it. Look around. That's how you get these ideas, these new ways to look at things. And major gifts report and the successful fundraising, those are great monthly. They come out, they come out monthly, and they're like little 5 to 10 page little booklets that have like best practices, tips and tricks for fundraising. We are fundraisers, and we need to learn what the frontline fundraisers are doing, and you can implement this into your strategy. I always recommend checking that out. So great resource, highly recommended. Okay, so how are we all feeling? Let's see, it looks like a couple people dropped off, so I didn't scare that many people. Thank you for making it this far. So here, next couple slides, we're going to go over just some ideas to give you on how to use this technology. And so here's the first one. This is using Formula Bot and ChatGPT, and this is a well screen. And don't worry, I anonymous information, I cleaned it up, so don't worry. But using a VBA, a macro, which is automating tasks. So you have this long screen here, a well screen, and with a click of a button, I created it where I create a new tab. I had to take I added up all the giving, made it in green. So, and this was like 30 seconds, right? There's really cool stuff that you can do with that if you spend some time with it. Again, it's VBA macro, use them. You can have GPT help you, or Copilot, whatever you're using to create something on that. It can save you hours. I just had a client that just like her mind was blown when she started doing that. She just shaved off so many hours of her time wasting on these same tasks that you do over and over again. Come on, oh, nope, don't need to see that one again. All right, so easily create content. This is the synthesis. And again, I notice when I do prospect research department audits, like training is such a burden on those departments where they're spending so much time. And this is an example here on how you can use AI to like something that you're just retraining over and over again. Why not create these kind of avatars, these little training sessions for the fundraisers to view on their own time? I'll shut up and let you see it here.
Hello, welcome to this webinar. I hope you are feeling inspired by now. Why not use AI-generated content to create asynchronous training videos that your fundraisers can view on their own time? There's so much you can do with this technology. Oh, and by the way, please be sure to follow Cannon on LinkedIn because he's super smart.
Thank you, creepy avatar. Yeah, so yes, it is a little creepy and it's a little jumbly there. I can see on the screen. It looks a little bit better when you're actually creating them, but this is an area. Why not use this? You can leverage this technology to save time. Why keep doing the same old trainings over and over again? This is something that you can do and create these asynchronous trainings, which is a great idea, I think. There we go. Let's go to the next one. Nope. Already saw you. All right, here's a really, really cool one. So if you do any international research, we all know that the translation is a problem. Hey, Jen, and I'll show you this in a second. I took Z's speech. This was during the COVID, the pandemic, and it was all in Mandarin. And I dumped it into the system, and it translated it and gave it a British accent, which is pretty cool. Some of you are probably saying, how do you know it's true? You don't. There's words that cannot be translated. As you know, anyone who's using any sort of translation software or even from web pages, it's not going to be perfect. You got to take it at face value. It's better than nothing, I believe. And still, and let me show you this right now.
Mr. Chairman of the conference, Mr. Director General of the World Health Organization, dear representatives. First of all,
so yeah, we don't need to go on too long. Just give you an idea what that is. So that's pretty cool. It took something that was in Mandarin and then spit it out, made it in English so we can translate it for you. You can watch it. So this is going to be a game changer for international prospect research. Definitely look into that.
Again.
Nope, don't need to see that again. And then easily creating content. So again, I use the deep AI to create content. That's what it says that a prospect researcher looks like. I don't know, but if you're creating any sort of internal documents, whatnot, needing content for that or emails, you can create this. It's pretty easy and cheap. You don't need to pay, a designer anymore. At least it's pretty good. I mean, if you work with it enough. So that's an idea. So as we round this up and come to the end here, if you're interested in learning more, I'm actually chairing the Executive Emerging Leadership cohort with Carrick at APRA this year in Baltimore. We're going to be going over these more and more in depth of these skills for leadership, even for emerging leaderships, skill sets that you're going to need for this economy. We're going to be going over a lot of stuff that we covered and even more. And I want to encourage you, if you're going to APRA, check it out. I do want to do a plug for that. We're going to be presenting on these kind of humanness, techno literacy, all this. We're going to be combining it into and help us all become better leaders and bring more of that humanness and really utilize that. So I hope by now you are all feeling inspired here. I sure know I am. So I have my contact here. You can reach out to me. You can connect on LinkedIn, like the creepy avatar said. I'm happy to connect with you. And if there's any questions, let me know.
Wow, Cannon, thanks so much. Yes. Questions. Again, you will see either gray bars that say questions or chat, or perhaps it's an icon you'll see on your screen. Just type that in there. We do have a few, and some came in that I think that you kind of answered as we went, but I do think that they're important to maybe go back and reinforce. One is our board is resistant to change, and how do you make a case for exploring AI or ChatGPT and helping us create content?
Great question. It all comes down to the dollar. They're stewards of the monies, and you need to show the ROI and how you can shave off time, taking the people hours and what you would save on doing that same kind of task, what you can save on that. You can calculate that, and also just what you could save on creating the content. Like I showed you the translation. Again, my buddy, I hate to pick on him, who lost his job, not funny, but you can do that for free now. Those are hundreds of dollars now that you can save in translation services, and you really emphasize the cost benefit on that. I think will really will really sway them. But also you can talk about, there's a tool, and again, I will be presenting on this next couple of months. Jump on it. We'll be going over the tools that you can have on your own computer, that you're not taking this to other servers, and that will ameliorate most of the concern about the privacy, I believe, because it's if you're downloading data and you're manipulating with Excel, donor privacy, donor data, you can do it with the same thing because it lives on your computer. There's no difference, in my opinion. So that would be two ways that you could do that.
That segues into another question we have, specifically. So it says, you used AI to create just the macro, but didn't feed it any of the spreadsheet data. I'm always super nervous about giving it any of our restricted donor data.
Awesome question. So yes, a macro is the Visual Basic Programming language that lives in Excel, right? I just created the code with it. You don't need to feed it. There's no need, to feed the actual well screen that I had on there. It's just I created the steps. First, take it and sort by capacity ratings. Next, go to total giving, add up, right? You just do step by step, you break it down. It's a good task when you're learning programming. You just do step by step, write down on the steps that you need to take, and then you feed that part into GPT, and it will say, hey, here's how you build the code to do that. So no, you don't need to feed in the well screen on that.
Great, thank you. Good question, Christina. I appreciate that. A question, what did you use to create the images? I think you may have covered that.
Deep AI, the one with the little dolphin spinning there, is called Deep AI, yeah.
And are these tools free?
Yes. Freemium. So the translation one, you can do so many minutes. So yeah, you're gonna have to look in that yourself. Yeah. So it all depends on the length of it and whatnot. But I was able to do that 3-minute one for free.
Cool, thank you. Let's see, and a question about, okay, if you could just pick one tool, where should we begin?
The Swiss Army knife, GPT or Copilot or Gemini. Those are those are the tools that are, again, the Swiss Army knife, they do everything. They can create images. They're not very good, but they can create images. Some of these other tools I showed you are more specialized for modeling uncertain tasks, creating slides, translation, whatnot. If you're going to do that, I would use that, use those kind of tools. But if you're just looking to explore it, use one of the free ones. GPT right now is free, so does Gemini. Just be aware, we talked about Google, right? They keep your information. You are the product, so don't put any PII information in there, of course.
Good tips, good tips. Wow. Well, Cannon, we are coming up on 2 o'clock, and thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for the great information, Cannon, and I will look forward to your future training sessions. They sound exciting and new, and we're all trying to learn in our respective fields, so we certainly appreciate you taking the time to be with Insightful today.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really had fun doing this, and everyone, if you have any questions, I'm very vocal on L, not so much anymore, on L on LinkedIn. If you have any questions or you have my email, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. So I love giving back to the community.
Thank you. And you can download this presentation and Cannon's contact information, and the slides he shared are in there as well. Okay, so at the start of our presentation today, I mentioned that Insightful is hosting today's webinar. If you are interested in learning more about Insightful and how Insightful delivers the news and information your organization can't afford to miss, we are happy to schedule a complimentary training session or demonstration session with you, or you can gather a group from your team. Download the presentation here. Our email address is in there. We'll be happy to schedule a time for you. Or if you're already familiar with Insightful, perhaps you're a customer but want to learn more about our newest product releases and what's on the horizon, you can join us tomorrow, February 13th. It's at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. On the West Coast for What's New and What's Next. It's a great overview of the big features that we recently added. And just register. Even if you can't attend, we'll send you a recording following that up, and you will receive a follow-up email that has a link to register following today's presentation. So a link to register for that will be in your inbox later today. Thank you again, Cannon. Thank you to our guests. Thank you for the questions. We hope this was really valuable to you. Again, if you have any questions in the future or would like more information, please don't hesitate to reach out to either of us. As you exit today, you'll see a brief survey. Let us know what you thought about the session and how we can improve in the future. On behalf of our teams, we thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.